In a brightly lit laundry basket, nestled between a few pairs of lonely socks, lived one very small, yet very colourful sock named Zippy. He was an odd sock. While all the other socks just wanted to be matched with their missing partners so they could become cozy again, Zippy didn't want any of that. You see, ever since Zippy could remember, he dreamed of being a real superhero. Now, Zippy was a brave little sock, but there was one tiny problem. He didn't have a match, so he couldn't sew himself up into a warm and toasty pair. And not only that, but he also didn't have any special powers either. He wasn't stretchy like this sock, nor was he invisible like this one. But what Zippy did have was a big imagination and a heart full of courage. He would spend hours upon hours looking at the comic books that were stored in the laundry basket and plan out his future adventures. He would cut out capes from colourful washcloths and boxes, use buttons as fasteners, and draw masks from pieces of tissue paper. And whenever he looked at his reflection in the shiny metal dryer, he would pretend that he was saving the world. One particularly windy laundry day, the lid of the basket popped open, and Zippy knew it was his chance to finally put his heroic training to use. As the wind snatched him right out of the basket, he put on the bravest face he could muster and shouted, "Don't worry, everyone. Your friendly neighborhood superhero is here to save the day." Then he flew out the window and landed with a soft thud on the ground below. Now, at first, everything seemed like a scene straight out of his comic books. There was a woman walking her dog, a man mowing his lawn, a kid riding his scooter, and even a bird that pooped on a car. Just as Zippy was about to take off and start patrolling, he realized something very important. Being a superhero isn't easy, especially when you're just a small sock without any powers, a match, or even a clear idea of where you're supposed to start. As he sat there thinking about what to do next, a red ball bounced right towards him. At first, it seemed like just another ordinary ball, but then it stopped moving. The wind had completely died down, and the ball just sat there, unmoving on the sidewalk. It almost looked like the ball was crying. Zippy approached cautiously and asked, "Are you okay?" The ball started shaking and said in a tiny voice, "I've lost my owner. I can't go home like this. What am I supposed to do now?" Zippy felt a surge of determination course through him. Of course, he didn't know where the ball's owner was, but he also didn't let that stop him. "Don't worry, little ball," he said. "Leave it up to me." Zippy tied one of the laces to the top of the ball and used all his might to get it rolling. Then he jumped on top of it and shouted, "To the hills we go to find your owner, so buckle up, Buttercup, 'cause this is gonna be one heck of a ride." And with that, he started bouncing the ball down the street. After bouncing around the block a couple of times, they came across a young girl sitting on a nearby tree stump. She was holding a picture of a boy and a dog and wiping tears from her eyes. Zippy immediately hopped off the ball and asked, "Hey, are you lost?" Startled by the talking sock, the girl dropped her picture, but when she saw how determined he was to help, she explained her situation. Her name was Lily, and she had lost her little brother Max and his dog Scout. While playing hide and seek, Zippy instantly recognized the dog in the picture and shouted, "That's the dog from earlier! Quick, let's go help them!" Zippy jumped back on the ball, and together they raced towards the park on the other side of town. When they got there, they found Max sitting on a bench with a big frown on his face and Scout by his side. But before Zippy could say hello, Scout ran over and licked him on the nose. Then the most amazing thing happened. Scout started wagging his tail and barked excitedly, then turned around and ran back to Max, licking him all over and wagging his tail so hard it looked like it might fall off. Max couldn't help but smile. Seeing his best friend, he felt a lot better. Then he noticed Zippy and asked, "How did you find me?" I've been looking everywhere for you. Zippy replied. Well, you're a tough one to find when you're covered in dirt and leaves. But don't worry, I'm here to help. Now come on, let's go home. And that's exactly what they did. They all walked together back to Lily, who was still sitting on the tree stump, waiting for her brother. When they told her that they were okay, she threw her arms around both of them and thanked Zippy for helping them reunite. You're welcome, he said. It was nothing. Then he thought for a moment. Actually, maybe I could take you two home myself. That way, you won't get lost again. But before he could suggest anything, a gust of wind swept through the park and picked Zippy right out of Lily's hand. Oh no, she cried. He's gone. But Zippy just laughed and shouted, Don't worry, everyone. The great Zippy has arrived. Then he flew off into the distance. Although he really enjoyed being a superhero, he knew he couldn't stay away from home forever. So after flying around and making a few more people smile, he headed back to the laundry basket. When he landed on the windowsill, he noticed something strange. A shopping cart was rolling towards a stroller with two babies inside, and although it was moving very slowly, it looked like it wouldn't stop in time. Without hesitation, Zippy launched himself towards the cart and shouted, Stop right there! The cart jolted to a halt, and the babies inside looked up in awe. Zippy tied one end of his shoelace to the handle of the cart and the other end to the zipper of the baby's blanket. Then, taking a deep breath, he braced himself and started pulling. As the cart moved forward, Zippy held on tight and refused to let it roll away. Even though it took all his strength, he managed to guide the cart back to the sidewalk. There, a relieved mother rushed over and thanked him profusely. You saved my babies. How can I ever repay you? She asked. Zippy just smiled and said, Being kind to others is its own reward. Then he waved goodbye and flew back to his laundry basket. When he got inside, all the other socks stared at him in amazement. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. You were a superhero, one of the socks asked in disbelief. It's true, Zippy replied with a big smile. I helped a lost ball find its owner, reunited a girl with her brother, and saved a baby from a runaway shopping cart. The other socks were in awe. None of them had ever thought of using their time outside the basket to help others. But as the days went by, they started getting a little bored. I wish there was an adventure to go on. One of the socks sighed. Me too, said another. And suddenly, a gust of wind blew through the laundry room and knocked the basket's lid off balance. All the socks screamed as they watched it slide off its hinges and fall to the ground. Without hesitation, they all flew out the window and landed in a pile on the grass below. Oh my goodness, one of the socks exclaimed. We're outside. And just like that, their adventure began. They all explored the backyard, played tag with a family of rabbits, and even had a picnic lunch under a nearby tree. It was the best day ever. But as the sun started to set, all the socks started to get scared. They missed the cozy darkness of the laundry basket and wished they could go back. But as they turned to leave, they realized they were lost. The backyard seemed like a never-ending maze, and they had no idea where the laundry basket was. They wandered around for what felt like hours, calling out for help, until finally they spotted a house in the distance, with a light shining through its window. With renewed hope, they made their way to the front porch and knocked on the door. An elderly woman opened it and gasped in surprise. Why, hello there, she said with a kind smile. What brings you to my doorstep? One of the socks stepped forward and explained their situation. We got separated from our owner and are too scared to go home alone, he said. The woman listened patiently, then invited them in for some hot chocolate and cookies. You stay here as long as you like, she said. I'll make sure you're all nice and cozy. And that's exactly what she did. She gave them each a clean towel to sleep on, and even made a special trip to the store to get some milk for hot chocolate. They were so grateful for her kindness and couldn't wait to tell their owner all about it. But when morning came, they realized something very important. Being a superhero isn't just about having cool powers or gadgets. It's about helping others and making the world a better place. And even though they didn't have any special abilities, they did have something else, a big heart and a willingness to help. Together, they set out to find their owner and spread kindness wherever they went. They helped an elderly lady pick up some fallen leaves, cheered up a lonely bird that had lost its way, and even stopped a squirrel from stealing someone's lunch. By the time they found their way back to the laundry basket, they weren't just ordinary socks. They became legends among lost socks, known for their bravery, kindness, and unwavering determination to help others. And as for Zippy, well, he learned that being a superhero isn't about where you start, but about the courage you have to face whatever challenges come your way.